this and that and what the fuck else, episode 115. This episode I'll be talking about the Donbass and the pestilence, some stuff from the EU, green stuff, and interesting thing from France, and then I've got some stuff from NATO as well. And there's a what the fuck that will make you laugh. It was a fairly depressing day for me today. There was some personal things that I had to take care of. And then I was surprised by a message from one of the Nazis that are basically stalking me. And he was very excited about the fact that my account with Twitter has been permanently disabled. And he enjoyed that thoroughly. And he made the remark that maybe now I will stop talking shit. I've good news for him. I'm not going to stop because he likes it. Fact of the matter is, I committed to the channel and I bring you the stuff that your TV and your newspapers most probably will never show you. And if you feel that I step over the line or that you don't agree with me, feel welcome to leave a comment. That is your right. If you take the time to listen to me, then I have to take the time to read your comments. Things is not looking great in the Ukraine. I believe it's getting very cold there now. I saw earlier that the forecast is -10 for tonight, further on until the weekend. That's cold. But that will also freeze the ground. So movement will become easier for the vehicles. Let's see what's going to happen there. The Ukrainians are persisting in bombarding civilians in the Donbass, and the West is happy to provide the weapons, the ammunition, and the finances needed for killing civilians. So I don't know what the West wants to call themselves, but in my opinion they are civilian killers, and that is it. And until you show me evidence to the contrary, that is my opinion. I have seen terrible things of families that was in homes that were bombarded. I've seen images of children injured in shopping centers. Those Ukrainian Nazis are just doing what a Nazi do, and that is atrocities, and normal people cannot understand that. But that's enough of that shit. I will get excited if I continue with that. Let's start off with this art shot. There's a beautiful photograph, and in a competition this would compete in a category for portraits. I like the shot. The lighting is done well, and it's a pretty girl. In my mind, easy 8 out of 10. And then we get to the pestilence. The things that is coming out is unbelievable. But now I've got a bit of a problem with not being able to access Twitter, so I don't get specific stuff about the pestilence that I used to get. But I do get quite a lot of it on my other sources. And if you look at this image, this is Martina Navratilova. And she was extremely vocal about the people that refused to take the poison. And listen to this. Martina Navratilova gets turbocharged cancer in the throat and breasts. A huge woke pro-vaxxer. Rejoices when unvaxxed people die. 4 times jabbed by July 22. Probably now 5th. Got the pestilence twice. Their politics and ignorance is going to cost her. And the thing that disturbs me about the pestilence is all the reports that is coming now out about those weird cancers. I don't know where this is going to end and how it will be resolved, but I am absolutely stunned at the volumes of information that is all of a sudden becoming available. And then we get to crime. And this is just for interest's sake. This is the top 20 cities in the world as far as the crime index is concerned. And lo and behold, South Africa is number 2, number 4, number 6, and number 18. How's that? And then we get to the Donbass, and this was quite disturbing when I saw this. And it really rattled me when I read the message. Anya, 7 years old, from Donetsk. When I grow up, I will give birth to 50 children at once. Why so many? So that I don't feel as much pain as Aunt Tanya did when her son died in the war. She only has 2 children, so she cries all the time. If I have 50 and some of them die, I will have others to love. Guys, can you imagine a 7-year-old girl giving these responses? This is not right. And then, if you should remember when the Russians were still present in Kherson, there was a lot of activity of the Ukrainians bombarding the nuclear power station and that dam, that huge dam. And they all the time denied it, that they're doing it and whatever. And now the things are coming out. This officer said in an interview with a journalist, the 2 bridges were targeted with US-supplied M142 high-mobility artillery rocket systems, HIMARS, which have a range of 50 miles and were quickly rendered impassable. There were moments when we turned off their supply lines completely and they still managed to build crossings. They managed to replenish ammunition. It was very difficult. Kovalchuk considered flooding the river. The Ukrainians, he said, even conducted a test strike with a HIMARS launcher on one of the floodgates at the Novokakhovka Dam, making 3 holes in the metal to see if the Dnieper's water could be raised enough to stymie the Russian crossings, but not flood nearby villages. You see, that is what they do. And they do it with weapons supplied to them by the West. And then we have this. Ukrainian forces shell a hotel in New Russian region. Artis Ilya Vasilyevin said the strike on the town of Vasilyevka in the Zaporizhzhia region hit a city hotel. According to the preliminary data, HIMARS launchers fired a volley. 2 civilians have reportedly died as a result. But the West is happy when civilians are getting killed. This stop and think before supporting the war. The center of Donetsk was shelled again. What are the Nazis thinking about when they send grads, multiple rocket launchers, to peaceful cities? Who do they imagine at that very moment they are unlikely to think about their relatives, mothers, wives, children. And it would be necessary to think about them, your loved ones. They are calm for the native people. They are sure that the Russians do not bomb civilians, do not intimidate civilians, do not kill or cripple prisoners. Do you still have any doubts who is right in this war? And yes, but the West supports the Nazis. I showed you a map in one of my previous Skidmarks where the Nazi territory has just been rebranded to NATO territory. And then we have this, Donetsk direction. Elements from the 155mm bonus high-precision cluster munitions manufactured jointly by Sweden and France, Bofors Nextar Group, which the AFU artillery is using to bombard Donetsk. Look at that. And that was also the thing that they used to shoot that restaurant where that senior Russian guy was having his birthday party. And then there is this. The festivities continue. Santa is a Russian drone and is dropping presents straight into Ukrainian positions through chimneys as a Russian unmanned aerial vehicle carefully throws a grenade through a pipe. And I looked at the video. It was amazing how that drone operator managed to get that drone right above that chimney pipe, and he dropped the grenade through there. Then we've got this. A day without dead Russians isn't a complete day. The Ukrainian troops fighting for control of a key hilltop in Donetsk region are reveling in every setback suffered by the enemy, writes Charlie Faulkner and Arthur Chaprahin. Can you believe that? But in any case, it's a war. Then we get to the EU. Germany open to seizing Russian assets to help Ukraine rebuild. Berlin backs Kiev government's demand for war reparations. Move hinges on resolving legal issues, allied coordination. Germany is open to using billions of euros in frozen Russian assets to help Ukraine rebuild as long as legal issues can be resolved and allies follow suit. Now, I've got something to say about this. This is another clear indication of how low the West has sunk. They steal Russian assets. First they froze it. Now they want to steal it and give it to the Ukraine. Is anyone from the West contributing $1 to help the people in Mariupol or to help the people in Donetsk to rebuild? No, they don't do it. But they want to steal Russian assets and give it to that Zazi in Kiev, that corrupt thing, and then want to feel good about it. I've got news for them. These actions are exactly the reasons why you are seeing a drop in investment in the European stock exchanges and the London stock exchanges. The countries outside the West has become aware of this pirating moves of the West. And they see how the Americans, the British and the Europeans are stealing Russian assets in the banks. Do you think for 1 minute they're going to invest there? They are drawing their money out. That's what they are doing. But it is a good thing. The West actually deserves to really fall apart and turn into third world. That is what must happen to them. For too long they've been living too comfortably on the stuff that they were stealing from the rest of the world. And then we get that postage stamp up there in the Baltics. Estonia is working on a mechanism for transferring a frozen 17 billion of Russian assets to Ukraine, said Estonian Foreign Minister. When the funds could be transferred, he did not specify. I wonder if those guys really realize what is in their future. I mean, we have this interesting interview, and it's the grandson of Charles de Gaulle. The West was planning a conspiracy against Russia far in advance. In an interview with Agora Vox, Pierre de Gaulle emphasized that Russia is not to blame for the economic and financial crisis. The number and depth of sanctions shows that this was all planned very long time, and that this is in fact a real economic war that the Americans benefit from. 11,000 sanctions have been issued against Russia, plus the 9th package. In my opinion, it is quite legal and natural that Russia are defending themselves. Maintaining good relations with Russia is the duty of Europe in the name of maintaining stability in the world. But the Europeans are in deep shit. The WEF cabal has got them by the throat, and the citizens of Europe is going to pay severely. And then this is about the gender things, and you can just look at it and smile and laugh. If men are from Mars and women are from Venus, I assume those other genders were pulled out of Uranus. Isn't that spot on? And then you get this disturbing thing here. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can read it, stop the thing and read it. But this is enough to make you fucking sick. Church of England's first openly non-binary priest. The Church of England's first non-binary vicar said it was difficult when they came out to their wife and 3 children, after having a moment of revelation while reading the story of Adam and Eve. What shit is that? This is not correct. And the priests are supposed to set the example and to follow the Bible. And look at this shit. The West has lost its moral compass. And then we get to this. Wind turbines and solar panels cannot be built without baseload power. From mining coal, oil and gas, few countries can afford nuclear. This is a staggering flaw in the mad rush to dismantle established affordable energy production based on an ideology of fear and deceit. And that is so true. And look at this. Lithium mining. Still think electric cars are green? At a mine in China, workers use ammonium sulfate poured into big holes to dissolve the clay. What's left is hauled out of the ever-expanding hole before being run through multiple acid baths to dissolve other unwanted compounds. The resulting compounds are baked in a kiln, finally revealing the rare metals required in electric car batteries. Just 0.2% of the result is the rare metals. The other 99.8% is waste. This waste earth and other compounds, which is now contaminated with toxic material, is dumped back into the original created hole. Many of these rare earth mining processes also unleashes plumes of sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere and can harm aquatic life in nearby rivers and streams. Finally, 50 to 60% of cobalt comes from the Congo, which unfortunately has a poor human rights record, with 40,000 children working in cobalt mines for $1 a day. This is what the greenies has brought upon us, and the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is 0.04%. Think about that. And then there's this. Chinese man runs the marathon while smoking cigarettes. A 50-year-old man known as Uncle Chen has an unusual habit. He likes to smoke while he runs. Once he even ran a 42-kilometer marathon while puffing on cigarettes. However, not everyone has been impressed by the Chinese man's peculiar regimen. Some people accused him of harming the health of other competitors with second-hand smoke. And then they say another old man who lives in India also runs in an unusual way. He runs barefoot about 32 kilometers every day. But I just had to add that. Amuse you and make you smile. The world is fraught with it. And then we get to this, and this made my blood boil. A 9-year-old Swedish girl left brain damaged after being savagely raped, beaten and strangled by a Muslim migrant. Look at that little girl. Try and imagine the horror. She's 9 years old. And this is what the politicians of Europe has brought on to the citizens under direct instructions from the WE. And this, I just included this for the Europeans and the Americans to take a look at. This is a table that shows you all the hardware that was destroyed by Russia in December 2022. And there is quite a few reliable resources that gave these numbers. Look at that. That is billions of dollars. I hope you're happy and you can see what is then being done with your tax money. And then we have this. Look at it, think about it, and then think again. NATO, North Atlantic Terrorist Organization. That is what it is exactly. And then we have this. Turkish protected vehicles, BMC Kirpi 4x4 for Ukraine seen in Romania. There were 42 armored cars. They are part of the second batch from a contract for 150 vehicles. 50 have been transferred earlier. And then there's a lot of people that are shitting all over Erdogan about this, but let's be real. Turkey has also got an industry and a country and that needs economic activity. And the Ukraine bought the vehicles from them. And I'm sure Putin doesn't have a problem with that. He understands this industry. But the thing is this, how long are these things going to last in the Ukraine? And then we get to this, just information. Why does NATO keep expanding towards Russia? They have the same goals as Napoleon and Hitler, which is to obtain Russia's oil, gas, coal and steel. This is clear as daylight. And Muammar Gaddafi said that. And we all know what happened to Gaddafi in the end. And then we get to this one. Norway donated 10,000 155mm artillery shells to Ukraine from the arsenal of its own army. From the arsenal of its own army. And yesterday somebody gave me a lot of shit because I said that NATO was effectively disarmed. And the guy was extremely vocal in his rejection of what I said. But here you can see it. They are now pulling shells from their own arsenals. No, this is not excess. And then there's a little note. This is less than 2 days worth of supply in the Ukraine. Think about that. And then we get to that what a fuck moment. And you just have to laugh. I mean, you can say nothing else. I am proud to be a virgin, and I will remain a virgin till I die, because I want to be a good example to my children. Yeah, what can I say? But in any case, we had quite a nice downpour of rain, 57mm in just over an hour. It was great. I can't remember when last did we have a good downpour like that. And please give me a like and a subscribe and share the thing. And with my Twitter account gone, I would appreciate if you can share this video to your Twitter account. That will help. Thank you.